But now we move into the tips for round 14. So, round 14 begins with a massive game at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide up against Geelong. Now, one thing for Port as well, other than being at Adelaide Oval, is the fact that Geelong have a terrible start after the byes. I think they've got a 2-6 record after the byes.
It's a 3-9 record. It is.
Yeah, so they're not very good off the bye, the Cats. Port Adelaide are in some massive form. There may be some talk about the fact that the Port Adelaide have to lose eventually, but I don't think it will be at this game. I think they're going to go 11 in a row, and I think for a shorter period of time, they will take outright top spot.
I don't think they do. I think Geelong win. I think there's a few reasons why I still think Geelong can win this. Yes, they have a terrible record after the bye, but the last 3 years they have actually won half the bye. So the 3-9 record is technically a 3-0 record in the last 3 years. So they're playing better football after the bye. I think that's what's going to happen again this season. And Port Adelaide, yes, they have won 10 in a row, but they haven't come up against two big forwards. I don't think. Since the showdown, really, if you think about it, Phil Thorpe and Taylor Walker, Fogarty, all that. Yeah. So I just have that question mark for it. I don't know if Paddy Dangerfield's going to come back this week, but I think with the two tall forwards, Port Adelaide won't be able to cope, and it will be a close game. But I think Geelong will get over the line.
After that, we get to Friday night, Brisbane versus Sydney at the Gabba. Sydney are just in all sorts at the moment. They can sit there with their injuries, but they had a few back against St Kilda and they still couldn't perform. Errol Gordon was shut down well in that game, and it just looks like Sydney are all out of sorts. Yes, Brisbane have lost their previous two games, but this is back at home at the Gabba. They'll win this one pretty well.
Yeah, I think you just have to say it's at the Gabba.
Yeah.
Brisbane win, and I'm going to put my certainty on it.
Yeah, you pretty well think that Brisbane have got that one wrapped up.
Yeah, I think. Oh well, you never know. I think last time Sydney played there, they actually won. So
yeah, it was early last year. I think it was. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, but I still think Brisbane win.
After that, we get to Saturday afternoon. GWS versus Fremantle. Big game for Fremantle. They have to win this game to keep in touch with the A.
Yeah,
and they have to win this one. But I'm actually going to be going with the Giants. I said a little bit earlier that the Giants are going to pull off a couple of games this year. They're going to nick a couple of games from teams, and I think this one's going to be one of them.
I've went Freo. They'll be very disappointed that they lost last week against Richmond, and I just think they're going to respond. I think because Darcy didn't play last week, did he?
No.
So I think if he doesn't play again this week, I might change it, but I think if he comes back, I think he's a big influence on their game, and I think with the clearance game that he gives to the likes of Brayshaw and Sarong, I think he could be the big difference in the game if he comes in.
After that, we get to Richmond versus St Kilda at the MCG. Big game for the Saints. If they need to pull this win, I think, because they need to hold their spot in the 8 by winning a lot of these games, like 50-50. I've actually tipped Richmond in this one because, one, it's at the MCG, and two, I don't know if the Saints' defence can hold up on the MCG. They obviously play on a slightly smaller ground on Marvel most of the time, and I think that's why they're pretty good against the Swans as well. But having the big ground at the MCG, I think Richmond can run through them.
Yeah, I think that St Kilda win. I think like the same as you. Like you think that they're not going to be able to play better off the smaller ground or the bigger ground. I think that's going to help their game. I think the better team. I think the players like Wanganeen, Malera, and all that, if they can keep their width about them, they can get a better entries inside 50. And I just don't trust Richmond's defense at the moment. Yeah, they're playing good football, but I just think that I still think the influence of the new coach maybe still with them, and the defense of St Kilda should be able to win them the game anyway.
After that, we get to Sunday afternoon, Carlton versus Gold Coast at the MCG. This is a massive game. Maybe not on paper, but the Gold Coast, I think, almost have to win this game, and I think that they will. I think they're going to beat Carlton at the MCG. I know it's a big call for Gold Coast to go down to the MCG and win, but Carlton are woefully out of form.
Yeah.
The Gold Coast don't have the best record after the bye, but if the Gold Coast want to make their inaugural final series, they have to do it. They have to start this week. They have to go and beat Carlton. I think that the betting may not say that they're favourites, but I think that they should be.
Yeah, I've went Gold Coast. I think, like, you put all the scrutiny on Carlton, but we've been doing that the last 6 weeks. It's not made a difference, so why would you believe it would happen again this week?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, they can't kick straight. In a windy area like the MCG, I just don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Well, I also think that the Gold Coast has one of the best defences in the comp.
Yeah, they're playing good contested football, Gold Coast, and, well, Carlton don't want to play pressure with any spirit, so it doesn't seem like they're going to change it this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, we get to the final game of round 14, which is North Melbourne versus the Bulldogs. This is at Marvel Stadium, but I do think the Bulldogs will... this is at Marvel Stadium, and I do think the Bulldogs will bounce back after their 3 weeks off. Basically, they have not played good footy, the Bulldogs, in the past 3 weeks. They previously, before that, I think they won 5 or 6 in a row, but they were beating teams way below them.
And you think they're just going to do that again?
I think they will do that again. I think they'll come back with a win against North Melbourne. People will stop talking about them for a week, and they'll just glide their merry way. The Bulldogs, I don't think are in very good form. I don't know if they're going to do much, even if they do make finals, because I think that there's something else going on, but they'll win this game pretty well.
I think Bulldogs win. I just don't know about North Melbourne. They're just a young team. They just can't play 4 quarters. Will Phillips is interesting. He's playing good football in the midfield, but I just think that it's going to be interesting. It's going to be one in the midfield, and I just think the more experienced midfield of the Bulldogs will win.
Yeah.
Win them the game.